Moral is, don't be a dick, Dick.
It's about media history, and it's really amazing. That's great significance. It's supposed to be about Philadelphia history, about Philadelphia celebrities and stuff like that, and it's really amazing. Oh, sorry. What's with the sidewall? Sidewall. Oh, here we are in Philadelphia. It's been about a while since James was supposed to be show up, but he should be here coming soon. I think. I guess. I wonder. I hope.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of people down there, but
Oh.
and you called and got the well, needing to get in reserve. We just got to go down there, right? So now we got to find parking.
On your directions. Alright. Take Market. Go over 6th. What you'll see Independence Hall on your right. Then make a left onto
That's where I was waiting for you.
What's that?
down all the way down to Independence Hall.
No, there.
Back at the gallery?
Yeah.
I figured.
Ah.
So wait, go down to 6th and then what?
Yeah, it's you see the Wachovia building?
Yeah.
You want to make a left there.
We're gonna find parking here.
Now, you can find parking around the Independence Mall. Okay? And if
7.
not, then we'll find it up by the let me just guide you. It's easier than trying to talk. Not this down my Wachovia. Make a left. This is the visitor center. That's where you get your ticket and shit.
We're gonna go back by the statues too, Ted.
Okay.
We figured to do the Independence Hall. Then you need to do the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Well, maybe we'll do the
It's
Liberty
right
Bell.
there.
And I also want to do the I want to find Franklin's grave. Okay, now where?
Okay.
Alright, just take your time, keep going slow. You'll be making a left. Keep going now.
I'm looking. There's parking handicaps.
Well, if you see one, I
don't see
didn't.
any open though, and I don't see anybody with tags. The handicap tag.
Well, you just keep your eyes open. Can you make a left to make a little... No, not here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're going to have to make a right on the 4th Street North or we're going to get stuck going over the bridge. Oh, we're stuck. You can't... You're going to go over the bridge now. Yes, you will.
If I go that way, I can go right here and I go down
All
Ray
right,
Street.
you're going to have to sneak behind the damn circulation where they make coins. Make a right here and then make a right behind this building.
Close to the curb, I think so. Okay, where's all the quarters? It has 4 minutes left on it, so. Here you go, Ted. Can you pop these in the thing? Got them all?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's right there. That's Benjamin Franklin's last resting place, where all those pennies are. People throw pennies on this grave to show respect. That's the great American of our country has gone through.
Is this where he's buried right here?
Yeah. I threw a penny on that grave.
How'd you know to do that? Because you saw it on there?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, yeah. We just gotta get the water and stuff down.
Alright. Slow.
You do the curve?
Slow.
Considering it's right here. Can you hold this for me?
Okay.
You want to get the ticket for
We gotta go here.
where all those buses are? We can go down here and get the ticket. Let's go get the ticket. Yeah. That way you guys can do everything in your own time. Oh,
How far do we have to go to get the station? Just right there? Which way are we going?
Let's just stop in and listen to this guy for a little bit.
This guy in costume.
Yeah, yeah, they're fun.
I don't think you can get in. I think you gotta get a ticket.
They're all fun. And I think there's only so much. Oh, down there.
See?
While they're talking, their talks are 15 minutes. I should have brought the damn whatchamacallit.
Walker. That would have been too much
Cane.
to carry. Cane?
Oh, that's the guy he was talking about.
We can wait right here, Ted.
Well, I'd rather get tickets. This goes on all the time.
All right.
Dedicated to the very important document, the U.S. Constitution. Very interactive. President for a day.
I don't have 4 hands, I don't have tentacles.
I don't think any amendments were passed on even in Congress or when he was president. I'm Sauron.
Once upon a nation, that people come and tell stories here.
Yeah, it's for the Philadelphia walks.
While we're here, James, I think the best way is to put money in the thing now. Because what we're up an hour. Right here.
Do you have any money? I have no money.
Yeah, I figured that.
Where are you going to get
Well, how where are we going to get lunch? How are you going to pay for it?
I was eventually going to hit an ATM in Newtown.
Well, we don't go see the place here. This is the best idea.
We'll get something, and there's an ATM right here, and this is Wachovia, I think.
Yeah.
This is Wachovia Bank right here?
Yes, it is. And there's
All right,
that's an ATM.
course it is.
Oh, do you need a picture?
Yeah.
What, I just hit the red button, Ted? I'm trying to. I'm towering. Ready?
Barely no feet.
I was helping him do it. He's got the, he's making the scales.
Stand up here.
So that's not rich.
Oh, yeah.
This goes on with that.
Okay. And it's dull. I just can't tell.
No, it's just the way it sits. You have to look at it from look up. So, yeah.
No knees. I'd like to welcome you today, folks, to Independence Hall. This building was begun in 1732 and largely completed by 1744. It was the colonial government house of the Penn family. William Penn founded the colony of Pennsylvania in 1682, ran it basically on his own until his death in 1718, and then his widow and his sons ruled the colony until the Penns were rather rudely ousted from power in 1776. This then became known as the Pennsylvania State House, and the official title of this building, even to this day, is the Pennsylvania State House. We get that wonderful name, Independence Hall, from a very famous visitor who came here in 1824. He was the Marquis de Lafayette. He was that very famous Frenchman who rose to become second in command to George Washington himself during the Revolution. But when he came to Philadelphia, he announced he was going to the Hall of Independence, and a big crowd followed him. And City Father said, good name. And so Independence Hall has been ever since. Excuse me. Now, this is the courtroom. This is where we start our tours. And let me first say to you, everything in here is a reproduction. If I can touch things, they're not original, they're reproductions, okay? It's a very good reproduction of a courtroom as it might have looked in about the year 1760. And if we came back in time, if we go back in time and come back into this room in about 1760, and a trial was going on here, we would understand almost everything that was going on in that trial. Reason is, our legal system comes to us lock, stock, and barrel from Great Britain. I mean, when we gave up being English, we didn't give up everything that was English. Okay? And let me show you what I mean. When you walked into this room, you didn't have to open a door. You see, if you were accused of a crime, you were entitled to a speedy and a public trial. And oh my, would the public have been where you are now? I mean, wow, it was interactive too. I'll tell you, they were hoot and howl. It was really something. Also, if you were brought in here already, a grand jury would have said there was enough evidence to warrant a case. 12 in this box, 12 in this box. Okay? And if you were brought in here for trial, you could bring witnesses in here to testify on your behalf. And you could question those who would testify against you. Witnesses gave their testimony up here in the witness box after having sworn the same oath you hear in an American or British courtroom to this day, that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. The jury of 12, which decided your guilt or innocence, met right here in this box. Now, there are some differences. Come here, my young friends. Come with me. Right up in here. Now here's a guy.
Guilty.
This, friends, let him up front there. Go ahead, turn around there. Let him up front. This is the prisoner's box. box. This is where the prisoner literally stood trial. And you didn't slouch, you didn't slump, because if you did, the bailiff would use his tip staff. That's a brass tip. He'd smack you on the back of the head. You got the idea real quick that you stood trial. Now here we have a gang of desperados, all right? What says this jury? Are these guys innocent or guilty? Guilty. Guilty? Oh,
Innocent until.
thank you very much, gentlemen. Send them away. Being our prisoners of the day.
Put him in the stocks.
Thank you, gentlemen. Lawyers from both sides sat at this table. Yeah, your lawyer was sitting with a guy trying to put you into jail. You better hope your lawyer's on the up and up. They didn't do deals in those days like they do today. We have it set for three judges tonight. If you were here for a minor offense, there'd be one judge. Something more serious, three. A capital offense where you might pay with your life, there'd be 5 judges up there. Imagine being brought in here with all the crowd hooting and hollering and all the apparatus and 5 judges. If it didn't kill you, it would scare you to death. Okay? So it was quite a thing. Now we do have an original piece in the room, just one. It's that placard right there. That's the coat of arms of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Now, up until the 8th of July, 1776, there would have been another coat of arms up there, and it would have looked like this. It was a 200-pound wooden sculpture of the lion in the unicorn of Great Britain, symbol of King George III. On the 8th of July, 1776, out here in the back, they read the Declaration of Independence to the American people for the very first time. Militia men from Pennsylvania came in here, they pulled this off the wall, they paraded it around the city all that day, and that night they committed an act of treason. They dropped it onto a bonfire and they burned it. This took its place in 1785, and it's been hanging there ever since. Now, the American Revolution. Yeah, April 19th, 1775. After 12 years of protest and taxes and troops being quartered in our homes, war broke out between 13 tiny colonies on the east coast of North America and the world's superpower of the day, Great Britain. There was already a meeting called for that room across the hall, the Assembly Room. It was the Second Continental Congress. And those men were sent here to try to find ways to ease the tensions and compromise. Well, they tried hard, but they failed. And when they failed, events happen in that room that make it one of the most important, not only in the history of this country, but as events would have it in the history of the world. So I invite you to go across the hallway to the Assembly Room, and we'll continue our story there. Spread out right across the back of the room. There's plenty of room for everyone. Now this is the room you came here to see today, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Assembly Room at Independence Hall. This is where the Second Continental Congress began meeting on the 5th of May, 1775. Now remember, war had broken out up here in Lexington and Concord, up here in Boston, back on April 19th. So the war was already on when these guys came here. Now they did what they were sent here to do. They sent a letter to King George III, and it's called the Olive Branch Petition. The Olive Branch of Peace was offered to King George one last time. Now, in that letter, Congress asked King George to stop the fighting and to compromise on the issues that were dividing us. Issues like taxation, representation in Parliament, acts of trade, those writs of assistance, those were those general search warrants the British used, and the quartering of troops in our homes at our own expense. Well, they got a reply from King George III. He told these men, that the war would continue. And when his armies had crushed ours, he was going to have these men hanged as the traitors that they were. All of a sudden, to lose the war meant to lose your life. So objective number one is to not lose the war. Whether they wanted to become it or not, these men became the first government of the United States of America. They didn't have any choice. To lose was to die. So here they were. And they weren't fools. They knew that they weren't going to defeat Great Britain all by themselves. They needed outside help. So they sent representatives to 3 countries in Europe that had fought Britain many times. To the French, to the Spanish, and to the Dutch. And all 3 of those countries were quite sympathetic. But they also reminded us, you know, you guys are brothers. And brothers have fights. Then brothers make up. If we get into this war, and then you guys make up, we'd have to fight both of them. And we're not going to do that. When you mean business, come back and see us. Well, by mean business, they meant declare your independence. Now, this was a tough step, but these guys knew that that was going to happen eventually. This just pushed them over the brink. This, my friends, is the Virginia table. It was from this table on the 7th of June, 1776, that Richard Henry Lee got up and he made a motion. Now, Richard Henry Lee is the uncle of that more famous Robert E. Lee. Well, Richard Henry Lee got up and he moved that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states. Congress heard Lee's motion. They did what Congress always does. They submitted it to a committee. But what a committee! John Adams of Massachusetts, Roger Sherman from Connecticut, Robert Livingston of New York, Dr. Benjamin Franklin, who always sat here, this being the Pennsylvania table, and a tall, sandy-haired lawyer from Virginia named Thomas Jefferson. He was but 33 years of age, a young man, but he was also the best writer in the colonies. And so the committee asked him to prepare the rough draft of a Declaration of Independence. Well, for 17 days in June, Jefferson wrote, gave the committee his rough draft. They made a few changes. They brought the document into this room, and Congress went over it line by line. And they made changes. Reason? They were putting their heads in the noose by signing this thing. It ought to say exactly what they wanted. Well, on the 4th of July, 1776, right here in this room, Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence was approved and sent to the printers, and 220 copies were rushed up and down the coast to all the colonies to be read to all the people. Now, that wonderful handwritten copy, you know, the one that looks like this, now there were 220 of the printed ones. There was only one of these. All right? The original is down at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. This came from our gift shop. It'll have to do. This was signed on that very spot on the 2nd of August, 1776. Okay? The first to sign was that fellow from Massachusetts, John Hancock. You know, he made that big signature in the middle we've all come to know. Okay? And when he signed it, Hancock then turned, go ahead, get the picture. I'm trying to accommodate everybody. Okay? Then he turned the document around for the others to sign, and no one got up. No one got up for about 20 minutes. And finally, Hancock said to these guys, look, if this goes to Britain as is, mine is the only signature on here. You know, give me a break. That's when Dr. Franklin got up and he made a very famous statement. He said, you know, if we don't all hang together now, gentlemen, we will surely all hang separately later. He got up and he signed. 56 individuals eventually signed this. It took some courage to sign this. If you sign this and we lose the war, the British know who to come and hang. You gave them your autograph. Okay, so it took a lot of courage to sign this. But these were men of rare courage to sign what they did. Now, the other reason why this room is so important to we Americans, you do realize our first government, the Articles of Confederation, failed. This was a weak league of friendship between 13 little independent And while the war was on, boy, were we united. But when the war ended, we began to drift apart and began to argue over everything, over boundaries and territory, over the rivers that flowed into the interior, over taxes. Does that sound familiar to anybody in this room? Okay. We argued over foreign affairs, trade, war, peace, all kinds of things. Finally, those two gentlemen I told you about in the East Wing, James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, called for a meeting in this very room to strengthen the Articles of Confederation government. Now, the trick was you needed all 13 states to agree to any change. Anyone here from the great state of Rhode Island? See, Rhode Island still hasn't sent representatives to Rhode Island refused to participate. The 12 states that sent delegates understood they were going to have to scrap the old government and start anew. Now, they weren't sent here to do that, so some of them left. Those that remained met in secret. They met in secret, and they kept the secret. Can you imagine how fast somebody have that out the door today? They had the doors closed and sealed, the windows closed and sealed. This is an average day in July in Philadelphia, okay? Imagine when it really gets hot, and it does, hot and humid. These guys had all that clothing on, you know? It got hot in here, and I mean the rhetoric got hot. These guys argued loud and long over every aspect of a new government. How strong would the federal government be as compared with the states? Big question. How strong would this new president be? Would he be a king? How many houses in Congress? What kind of things would they legislate? What kind of things were prohibited? They argued loud and long. Slavery was a big issue here in Philadelphia. Northern states wanted to end the African slave trade. Southern states, especially Georgia and South Carolina, informed these guys, we can't live without slavery. If you get rid of the slave trade, we won't join your country. And boy, I mean, they argued loud and long over this stuff. Many times it looked like they'd leave and there'd be no new government. But finally, on the 17th of September, 1787, they put together enough compromises that the United States Constitution was again signed at that very spot and sent to the states for their approval. You notice I haven't put my hands on anything in here? We have a lot of original pieces in here. I don't put my hands on anything. Let me show you. This is number one, folks. This is the Rising Sun chair. And it really is the Rising Sun chair. It's not a facsimile. This is the chair that George Washington used to preside over the Constitutional Convention. Ben Franklin gave it its name. He said he often looked at the sun at the top of the back of the chair, not knowing it was a rising or setting sun. And now that he'd seen the Constitution, he had the pleasure to know it was the rising sun of a new nation. See the chandelier? 3 pieces, cut glass. This has been hanging here since 1744. See that coat of arms, the Penn family coat of arms? Been hanging there since 1751. See this stick? This walking stick belonged to Thomas Jefferson. He got it from Ben Franklin in 1776. So you see, I don't touch anything. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have to conclude this tour because the next tour will be coming over in just a minute. So at this time, I have to ask you to leave and go through these doors out the south exit of Independence Hall. I hope you come back many times, and I surely hope you enjoy your stay.
Oh, okay, right there.
This is the first time I've been surrounded. This is actually the third time I've been surrounded by our founding fathers. Okay. Hello.
Don't do that.
All right.
When they both come home, actually Gouverneur Morris right here goes over and speaks. Jefferson's speaking. When they both come home, they're not allowed to address doing
Where?
Take a picture.
Yeah, I signed it.
Good.
It's one of the one time it was
That Frank was right behind you, Jefferson.
So fortunately, they don't have a
supposedly you could get on the top and see the monster. That was memorialized here. She goes up and then draws this diagram.
Just feel those people that signed